Hi, welcome back. I know it's been like since forever since I have uploaded my last podcast. And if you do follow me on social media on my Instagram, I posted a week ago why I wasn't able to post a podcast. And I didn't really go in depth in details of what happened, but it's mostly sometimes my mind and my body doesn't go together, and I want to do so much and my mind is not. So not there yet with me, or it could be the other way around where my mind is already ready but my body is not. And also a lot of things happened like since the last video. So it's been very overwhelming talking about this topic, having to put this topic out in the world, um, uh, talking about what I went through and talking about my breakup. It opens a lot of wounds. Um, like it's like opening Pandora's box again. Talking about it now and explaining this makes me nervous because I don't really have to, but I feel like maybe you would understand me, and this could understand this could give you an sort of explanation of how I am as a person. um I know I also wrote on the last episode that I posted that I really want to do this more often, and I really 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 want to, because I noticed that I do have a specific audience that they kind of want to know more, but also they want to just hear from me and what I did and what helped me get through my darkest nights, moments, days, months, years. Um, and I really want to do it because I do know I have a lot to say and I do want to share experiences, but I do want to ask to bear with me and have patience because it's not always just easy for me to sit down and talk about this topic. I think I don't really know how much I have to how many times I've mentioned it. It's just very it gets very overwhelming for me, and then I have to sit back and just like gather back my thoughts. Just like a small explanation, every time before I record a podcast, I always have to calm myself down, and but not just mentally but also physically, because I feel like physically my body wants to react, but my brain really is just ready to go. And most of the time when how my body reacts is by sweating, by having a shaky voice when I want to record, and um like now. And as much as I want to keep it 100% real, I want to keep it raw and there's no need to filter anything. I do like kind of want to save myself from harm and pain when it's not really necessary. But anyways, just a small disclaimer: I am recording this during the day, where I'm legit enjoying the daylight. I feel like there's finally sun, and I've been enjoying it every second, every minute of the day. The only thing is that I do live across a not an hospital. What am I talking about? A ambulance and a firefighter. Why couldn't I couldn't find a word, but I think this is an example. I know what I want to talk about and I know what I want to say, but I could just my mind shifts off. Like I know what it is, but my mind shifts to a different topic already. Anyways, let me just calm down again. um right. So from the last episode where I talked about how much I appreciate people and how much I appreciate having people around me, it still means like the whole world to me, because it's always the little things that I kind of appreciated. And it was even before everything happened. I'm a person that we were well taught when we were younger, to appreciate the little things that you have, because that's an example of cars passing, because I have a busy road in front of my house. But anyways, um yeah, so appreciating the little things, those were very much hammered into our head, because it's not always you're not always gonna get what you want until you actually work for it. So I really appreciate it. Like I had a moment crying and stuff. I don't really have tissue, but I do have paper to just wipe if I have to cry again today. I was well prepared last time, but if apparently it was just very very emotional. So today I'm looking again because I kind of have my notes and I want to deviate from anything. I'm trying to calm myself down. If this is me like trying to calm myself because I feel like again I'm getting nervous, and because it's been a long time since I haven't sat down and actually done this, it feels like it doesn't come natural to me. But anyways, today I want to talk about how I want to continue talking about it, but I feel like it's also, I know I talked about it already. I opened up about it a little bit in the last episode, but I want to continue talking about how I dealt with being alone because that was, to me, that was the most scariest moments of the whole let's heal, let's cure, let's move on kind of situation. And I was happy that I was getting help, and I was happy that I had people around me during the day, during every time I was. And I felt like when I was with people and or when I was around people, I that was my way of coping with my feelings. It's me not wanting to deal with it. So it wasn't up until nighttime, like or I would go to bed, that my thoughts would creep out in my head and it's like pop, and I would be like, what are you guys doing in my head? What are you doing? Why are you disturbing me? But anyway, so I shared this with my psychologist, and I had like a lot of endless sleepless nights, like legit. I would go to bed like at 10, 11, um and still I would be wide awake up until like 4 or 3 in the morning. So I would share this with my psychologist, and like together with my house doctor, they decided to give me prescribed sleeping pills. And let me tell you something about sleeping pills. When I talk about this, I kind of get emotional because it brings me back to, it reminds me of something that I don't want to be reminded of. But so I got prescribed sleeping pills, and I really didn't want to take it because again, it reminded me of something that I don't want to be reminded of. And it's just very not really what I want to be doing or want to be taking drugs because, I feel like it's a drug just for you to be able to sleep. So, anyways, I ended up getting it, but I didn't really take it. I just really forced myself to, like sleep. I would tire myself during the day, and so at night I'm just like knocked out. But apparently I would not go knock out. Let me tell you something. The scariest thing to me was being alone with my thoughts. That was very scary. Why is it scary? I mean, I didn't think about it. I never did, and I never thought it would, because what is actually, I have never had to deal with it. I mean, back then I would have problems, but this was a very different type of problem that I had, like like anxiety. I've never had to deal with it, and now having to deal with it gave me more anxiety. And then those thoughts would come up, and then I would be like, but why? And most of the thoughts were like me not being able to deal being alone, and or me thinking about my future. I would overthink about a lot of things, as you already know. And the only thing that actually led me to was avoiding being alone. I actually did not want to be alone. I didn't want to be in a room by myself because it scared me of what I was capable of doing, which would lead me to the next step, right? And the next thing that you would think that, like would happen if you would leave someone alone in a room. I shared a lot of this. What I'm talking to you guys about, what I'm sharing with you guys, I've already shared this with my psychologist. We've dealt with all of this already. But me talking about it again just brings up a lot of, I feel like, memories and pain, mostly pain, because during that time I was going through a lot of pain. I was really hurt, but it was more of me hurting myself in the sense that I wasn't really able to help myself. I did not know in what way I could still help myself. I mean, me going to a psychologist helped a lot. She definitely guided me and like molded me back again to this whole person. But it's always that moment that you would think that you're not really sure what you're doing. So anyways, I'm also the type of person that it's really difficult for me to reach out for help. That's something I don't know why. I'm not sure if it's and even still till today, I'm not the person to cry out for help. I always kind of figure things out by myself, and then if it doesn't really work, then I'll be like, okay, this is time. But that's why it took me forever to actually go to a psychologist. But anyways, so me being alone for a lot of nights, lots, like in my room. I used to live in a building, and I used to live in a student building, and I used to live at the seventh floor. I had like the best view. That view was always like amazing, and would always think like it's just breathtaking, and thinking about like how life, I would always go look and be like how life is actually so beautiful, and when the sun sets, especially during the summer, it's just amazing. I don't even know how to explain it. But I would have thoughts in my mind, like, it's very scary. I don't want to say it because I don't feel like saying it, and I don't necessarily want to put it out there that that's what I was thinking, but I think you can add up 1 plus 1, right? Anyway, so I had those thoughts, and I had those thoughts in general for like one, maybe twice this whole entire time. But it was enough for me to know that once or twice is enough to have those thoughts. Also, because why? And at that moment, I wasn't really sure why, and I wasn't really sure what was the added purpose to even do it. But I wasn't really seeing, or I wasn't really comprehending. Let me just put it like that. I wasn't comprehending the idea of living anymore, because everything was taken away from me. Everything was just not how I thought it would be. Again, I explained it in my first episode where I said everything was in my mind, everything was good, right? So, and then all of a sudden you kind of get thrown, and you're like, no. So the moment I had this, I remember I didn't really talk about it, but then the second time, and I was like, I had like this epiphany, and I was like, Namia, what is this? What are you doing? What? Hold up. So I kind of put this on a table when I had my an appointment with my psychologist, and she just got scared for her life. And I said, it's okay, it's fine. I am aware of that thought, but I'm also aware of what it could do to me. Maybe, let me just put it out there also. I have a background in medicine. I did nursing before all this whole marketing thing. I've worked with different type of patients, and I kind of know, and I know the symptoms, and I know what to look for when I'm aware of things. When I was having a moment, I was not me. Let me put it like that. But when I was talking to my psychologist about it and stepping away from the picture and like seeing the whole picture a helicopter view, I was able to actually snap out of it and be like, what was I thinking? What went through my mind? So I had to write those things down, where I was, what was going through my mind, what was my plan, what was the steps that I wanted to take, and mostly thoughts. So this is the thing. I have difficulties explaining my feelings. That is still till today. I have a hard time explaining it, and I think it has a lot to do with me wanting people to understand my feelings, or me wanting people to understand me and where I'm coming from. But I also had to understand that, or learn that, not everyone is going to understand me, or not everyone is going to really feel anything for me. So, and I don't want that necessarily, but because I want to explain everything so well or so good, that it's difficult for me to actually do it. So what I did was I had to paint it down. Now, I'm not really the painter. I'm not like a Picasso or anything, but I can draw. So I had to draw my thoughts down. And this scared me because the first thing I drew was a knife. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's funny. I laugh at it. I laugh at it, but it kind of, it's weird because I cook on a daily basis. I have a knife on a, like, when I cook, right? So that, if that's the first thing I would draw on a piece of paper, that would have to light up so many red lights. And it definitely did. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I feel like I need to drink water. Anyways. Right, so it's not really just the object, but she wanted to take from the whole picture was the why I wanted to do something with my life, or what led me to think like that. And I feel like it was very difficult for me to even, drawing it was the easiest thing. The moment she wanted me to draw things and gave me that as assignment and then come back, that was easy. I think I have a gap of like a week and a half after every appointment, and I think I had like 4 to 5 sheets of paper of drawings about my feelings. So together we kind of came up with what it meant, what it actually meant, what it means to me, how I would actually name every sheet of paper. And long story short, we came out to this conclusion that I don't really like to be alone. I have an anxiety of people leaving me, even though it's not necessary. It was only shown in one piece of paper, but a lot of it had to do with what happened indeed. But it wasn't just that. It was, I explained when Marnix left. I don't want to cry, but when Marnix left, he would be the whole day with me, but then he would leave. Or I would spend time with my friends and they would leave. Or I would go to my brother's and I would leave to go home, or he would come to me, and then, it's the leaving. It's the, okay, it's time to, continue life. And, whoa. It's very difficult because it's not, to me, it was very difficult to even understand that, yeah, I don't even know how to explain it, see? But it was difficult for me to understand why I was feeling like that, or why I felt like, taking away my life was the purpose, or like a reason so I could be happy. I don't know why I thought that would be a thing. And mind you, I would go my day on a normal basis. I remember I would still work on my thesis, and I still worked like a full-time job, because then I took a full-time job. Um, I have this, I can put up this I would say like a mask, but that I'm really good at, that not showing my emotions. I think that's a very Asian thing. But I have this thing that I you can tell by my face or by my posture, by my attitude, that how I'm feeling. But like my mimic and my face expressions are very strong. I get that a lot. People say that a lot. But I feel like most of the time also people can, but I can never show anyone how I'm technically feeling in the sense of what I actually am feeling. I don't know if this all makes sense, but I'm still working on this whole healing and let's cure Mia, and let's, again, I'm being aggressive, but that's trying to understand. And I felt like it feels like it's not really an easy thing. And I know I'm getting to something. I know that's what I wrote last week as well in my post. I know when I have to prioritize myself. I know when to put me first. I know when to prioritize my mental health. Because I feel like even before, even during my, when I used to see, when I went to my psychiatric, whoa, yeah. Even when I used to go to my psychologist more often now, because I don't that often, but when I used to go to her a lot, even then it was still very hard for me to comprehend the idea that I am going and I'm seeing someone to help me fix my problems, because Mia, you're not right, you're not okay. Yo, it's I don't know what it is. I feel like it's a taboo that's tattooed in my mind, in my head, in my body, that, like, asking for help or for professional help is not really a thing. But I want to really make that a thing. And that's one of the things that actually pushed me to start this podcast, was to do this, to make it okay to ask for help, or to make it okay that you people go through things. And what I really like about Instagram, I feel like I follow this page, mental illness quote or something. People would label each other, and like so easily. And I feel like the one thing that I always have to remind myself, I have that very, 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 very recorded in my brain, is that my feelings, they matter. I matter. Or whatever I'm going through matter. Because back then I didn't really think of it like that. I would go through my day, or would go through my life in the sense of it's part of it. People go through things, it's part of it. But I would never actually label or give it an explanation, because I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like it needed to. But now, as I look back, I feel like I was being, and I can still be. My friends, my people around me know this. I could still be the hardest person on myself. I'm my biggest critic. I feel like everything I do, I criticize it 10,000 times. This podcast is something that I can relax. And even though I make mistakes, recording, the first thing that comes into my mind is like, okay, we're going to edit that. But I don't want to do that because, again, I promised a raw and unfiltered video, podcast, right? And like my channel and the environment and the community that I want to make is that. But that's me wanting to control a lot of things. And it's because a lot of it had to do with me losing control when I couldn't control anything. But also, something my psychologist taught me, was very scary. It was me being wanting to control when I was still in control. If you think about that, it's scary because you would think that you had the control, but at the same time you didn't. But you would brainwash yourself or brainwash your own mind and be like you are in control, but you're actually not. You know what I mean? So, right. Anyway, so I blabbed again and I talked again and I don't know if this made sense. And I'm happy I didn't have any tears. I know I was fighting them. That I do have to say, I have to admit. But I want to, again, I really want to do this often, but it's very, 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 because I still go and I still have visits to my psychologist and we still talk about this. And my podcast is my kind of journal thing. It's my podcast. Sorry. It's my journal moment. And I don't know if I mentioned this in my previous episodes, but I have books on books on books where I wrote so many things down about a lot of things. My feelings, how my day went, what my thoughts are. I would always tell my friends, that would be like, if you would want to read my life in a year or two, I have books. I have series of books to explain. If I would always say, like, if I would go missing or I would, there's an explanation for all of it. It's in the book. Anyways, I really love when people ask me questions and ask me questions on Instagram, and they would like motivate me to actually think, right? To think about my answer. So someone actually asked me again on Instagram, leading to my previous episode. They actually asked me if my heart wasn't healed yet, because I said that I felt like I wasn't healed. But they asked, if my heart wasn't healed yet or is not healed yet, what am I doing to heal it? And I feel my answer to that would be me focusing on myself, me trying to this is very much something that I want to do, want to create. This is what I want to, this is actually what I've been wanting to do. Just it's a lot of it had to do with my anxiety holding me back. But yeah, my heart, if it wasn't healed, if it's not yet healed, I definitely would focus on myself. And a lot of it would be like not being able to post because I know to prioritize myself. Saying no, that's definitely a thing. I have that bad character, and I feel I have that from my dad because my dad does that too. We always have a yes to everything. And now I'm learning to say, no, I can't. You can't. And even with work, I noticed that I take so much on my plate. I'm like that eater that, like you eat with your eyes and then you want to eat so much, but you cannot actually eat them all. So with work, it's the same thing. I kind of add up so many things on my work pile. And I know that I can't, but I also know that I can. It's always that balance to look for. I'm always challenging myself and how much I can do, and me being able to, that's to push myself. It was to like pile up so many things, not forgetting that it could lead to stress, could give you burnout, and I don't want that. So now I'm learning to, boundaries. That's a thing. I have that actually already worked like written for the next episode. I want to talk about boundaries, where it's very important to set. I talk about it. I remember I used to talk about it, and I actually used to tell people to do it. But when I think about it now, I never did. And I have so many examples of when I set my boundary and how I set my boundary, that I feel like it should be normal that people set boundaries, because it's how you end up wanting people to accept you. And most importantly, it's how people treat you. It's how you allow people treat you. But that's gonna come all in the next episode. But anyways, ooh, thank you again for watching this video. I was able to explain again a lot of things, and I hope you got something out of this. It's a little story from my background again. I hope to open up more, and I hope to give you more of sharing of what I not just went through, but what helped me get through a lot of things. So yes, thank you for watching. What was this?